is the Jeff Santos Show. Now, here's Jeff.
Thank you, Jimmy, and welcome to Hour 3 of the Jeff Santos Show. We are live in Studio A on the campus of Emerson College here in downtown Boston. Good to be with you this final hour. Hope your Christmas shopping and holiday shopping is going well. If you're driving for vacation or to get away for a while, be safe out there, folks. Be courteous. Don't cut anybody off. It's the road trips that you define the holiday season sometime. You get to know your partner and kids really well. Well, you know, folks, it is Christmas season. And we've been trying to do this for a while now. Every weekend, either a Saturday night or a Sunday morning or Sunday evening, I only live a few blocks from the Emerson Studios, so just down the street. I go to the Paulus Center, and the individual to my left, you're right on the calendar, is on this camera, is Father Rick Walsh, Associate Director at the Paulus Center here in Boston. It is so great to have you here, Father Rick.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank
nice
you.
To be with you.
Thank you so much. You know, it is great that the Paulus Center is located right in the heart of the city, just blocks from the state capitol, you know, the Boston Common, where the big park in the city, and obviously downtown Boston. And this time of the year, Christmas season, it's just beautiful.
It is.
And it lit up the trees and the big Christmas tree and so forth across from the Paulus Center. But I think the community service that the Paulus Center sends out, its acceptance of all, and even in some of the homilies that are out there, that, you know, you talk about other faiths, you talk about how other people that are not Christian who come into the church. I think those are all great things. And at this time of the year, I think it's really wonderful to have that sort of Christmas spirit. It's not, you know, it's not this hard-edged sort of, you know, my way, the highway kind of approach, but sort of a welcoming all. Talk a little bit about that.
Sure, Jeff. What you're describing to me when I hear you talk like that, that's hospitality,
Yeah.
which is one of the great virtues that comes out of our Bible, and it comes out of the Middle East. That sense of, if you don't have a place to go at night, what do you do? And so our earliest stories of faith, a lot of times, like Abraham and Sarah, are blessed with a child because they opened up their tent and sought and listened to the needs of the stranger, the other. So we take that very seriously to heart where we're located. We have lots of folks who are looking to belong. And that's one of my messages I think you've heard in homilies probably
Right.
when you come. I think ultimately salvation, that we talk about that all the time. Are you saved? You hear these folks when you're walking through the common accosting you, you know, are you saved? And,
Right.
and I think to myself, yeah, I have value. I know I have value. I am worth saving, like money, you know. And I kind of joke about that, but there is that sense of belonging. We all want to belong. And so we reach out to folks that, you know, perhaps they've heard things about the church. They maybe get it through the media, read the papers, listen to TV, and it's always a slanted thing there, sort of, you know, but and some of it's deserved, mind you. But at the same time, we want people to know that they're very welcome. So like today, Friday, we have Muslims coming to our basement auditorium where they pray. We have about 400 Muslims there
Wow.
today. Yeah. And because they St. Paul's Cathedral, the Episcopal Cathedral, is being renovated. So they've been using their space, but this past several months, and for the next several months to come, they're going to be with us on Friday, their holy day.
That's wonderful.
Isn't it? So that's
I don't
the kind
think
of thing we do.
that's normal in a lot of Catholic churches around the country, is it?
No, it wouldn't be. But first of all, we're an urban center,
Right.
and you do have a lot of folks, young Muslims, that are looking for a place to worship, and it's probably difficult for them. So there is a mosque, of course, a couple mosques. One's in Cambridge and one's over in the Roxbury area. But
Right.
we have right downtown lots of college students. So to me as a Catholic priest, it's pretty amazing to see all these young men walking through the door. And I'm saying, oh, it'd be great if we could have young men and women coming through our doors. This number's on Sundays, our day of prayer, you know.
Sure.
But, hey, it's great.
Well, we're talking with Father Rick Walsh of the Paulus Center Catholic Church, and it is a more progressive, for those of you who listen to me every day, and as the progressive talk show host that I am and proud of, this is a place where a lot of progressives go to because they feel at home. There isn't this sort of, let's bash everybody because of abortion or other issues. And I think that brings a lot of people. I mean, I see a very diverse group in church, whether they're young, old, whether they're black, white, Latino. In fact, one of the great things about the Paulus Center, and I don't know how long this has been going on, but at the end of Mass, they ask everybody, if you're from out of town, to stand up and have, and say where you're from. I mean, the times that I've been going, I go every week. You get people from El Salvador to Moscow, to the Philippines. I mean,
Australia last weekend, and from all over. Yeah, it's pretty remarkable, and that's our Catholic faith. The idea that it's all over the world, and it has such an appeal. So these folks are here in Boston downtown. They're staying in hotels or whatever, or perhaps they're visiting their kids in school at Emerson or someplace. And so they're looking for a church to go to, and they come on in. And a lot of times they'll ask us, though, too, after, and say, is this a Catholic church?
Yeah, because you don't have, for those who have never been, and since we don't have a live shot of the church, right. It doesn't have all the, I don't know what the best way to say this.
Accoutrements.
Yes, thank you. I was going to use that word.
Yeah, so we for instance, kneelers are not part of our tradition. We go back to another ancient tradition of the liturgy is to be actively participated in by the people. So we stand in the times when others be more perhaps passive and kneeling at what we call the Eucharistic prayer, the prayer of great thanksgiving. So we have folks more active. We, instead of having hymn books where people would have their faces down singing in the book, we project with a wonderful HD system right up on the wall where we have a big bare wall, and everybody looks up and sings. And that does increase. That's one of the things I say. Everybody sang here, not like most Catholic churches.
That's very much the case. There is that feeling of, I don't want to sound corny, there is a kumbaya element that people are sort of...
don't say that.
I know. It's the positive kumbaya, not the negative sort of, everybody sort of, agreeing. It's a point, though, where people, I think, get into it. Not everybody's a great singer, but, they get into it. And I think that's wonderful. I come out of there, folks, just my own opinion, I come out of there feeling good as a Catholic, feeling good as somebody who has had a spiritual hour or so, with God. I think that's important. And today, for the first time in my lifetime, born in the 60s, I think Pope John Paul, or Pope Paul in the 60s, but I really knew Pope John Paul.
Yes.
I think he came in the 1970s.
78, yeah.
Right. He and Pope Benedict were the first ones. But this, for the first time for me, as a quote-unquote progressive, yes, yeah. I feel like Pope Francis is not only my pope, but represents my values. Mm-hmm. What has it been like for priests and for others for this change? I mean, it's only been, under a year? And
it's been actually almost 2 years as of March, believe it or not.
Is that right?
Yeah, he'll be in 2 years, completing 2 years. It's been wonderful for us at the Paulus Center because we have remained faithful to the tradition of the church. At the same time, it's been difficult for some of us who have heard messages such as we need to be focused more on doing things exactly the same way or and we've always been people who follow the Holy Spirit and kind of like that diversity in the way of expression. Mind you, we're Catholic, we're rooted in the Catholic tradition, but the way of expressing that has been difficult sometimes in the last 20, 30 years for some folks who identify with the Paulus Center. But now we're having a fellow like Francis who, the most important thing to me, what I'm hearing from Pope Francis, is the word mercy. It's that sense of, the beautiful stories from Jesus where, the one that always touches my heart is the prodigal son, the wasteful son, the guy who took his inheritance, and it wasn't even his inheritance, it wasn't his. And this Jewish father gives it all away, just lets him have what he wants, and kind of just lets him go off on the journey, and he's hurting. And yet that father waits every day for him to come back. He's looking at the horizon. When he comes back, he runs out, and he takes him as his own son. That's just remarkable because no Jewish father would have done that, especially in that time and that place. And then, so we have this kind of the self-righteous son, the older one, that's standing there, following all the laws and all the rules, and how angry he is. And we don't know how that ends. You know, the father says, son, everything I have is yours. It's mine. It's yours too. But we don't know if he joins the party in the celebration for the younger, wasteful son coming back. Isn't that something? And I think that's part of our life as believers.
You
We struggle with that.
Before we get commercial break, and a couple of calls we want to take for you as well. I think that the activism that he has shown just recently on Cuba.
Yes.
I mean, we don't see this that often. I think that it's just, if we could continue, this is my own political view, my own personal view, if he is Pope for the next 10 years or more, I think that the Catholic Church will be revived to the point where it was, a long time ago. And I really believe that to be the case. In my view, that is really, I think, where we need to go. We'll come back, take your phone calls, 877-489-9421. We're talking with Father Rick Walsh here on the Jeff Santos Show. Get to you, Tanya, in the next segment. It is Revolution Radio Network that you're tuned into. Back in a flash.
Math is everywhere, and parents, we can make it fun for our kids.
The National Education Association wants you to raise your hand for student success.
I'm NEA President Lily Eskelson Garcia. Math doesn't have to be a chore. Talk about the latest game and how many total points were scored, the differences in speed limits on the way to school, or how much it would cost to buy lunch for the whole week. Learning doesn't just happen in the classroom.
Visit NEA.org/parents for more tips.
With over 900,000 products in 31 product categories, some people would say Grainger has everything but the kitchen sink. Of course, those people would be wrong, because sinks are among the over 900,000 products Grainger offers to help keep your business up and running, along with belt sanders, baseboard heaters, duct tape, tissue paper, reversible air drills, and, well, you get the idea. Most everything. For super fast access to Grainger's over 900,000 products, call, click Grainger.com, or stop by a branch today. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Confessions of a Potentially Perfect Parent, brought to you by AdoptUsKids.org.
I know more about cooking dinner for a party of 12 than about packing a lunch for a 12-year-old. I know kids like things like fish sticks. Fillets, I get, but sticks? Maybe we can just compromise on mac and cheese. Can you make that with Brie?
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who would love to put up with you. Call 1-888-200-4005 or visit AdoptUsKids.org for more information. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt Us Kids, and the Ad Council.
When you open a book, you can explore new worlds, meet new friends, and discover new adventures, like the ones in the Chronicles of Narnia.
Impossible! Are you prepared for what awaits you?
To find out more about the wonders of reading, you can visit the Library of Congress website at www.loc.gov and let your journey begin. This message has been brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
I'm here to tell you that your options for getting out of debt have never been better. How do I know? Because I'm Howard Dvorkin, the founder of Consolidated Credit. For nearly 2 decades, we've helped over 5 million people just like you. And every time we help someone, they all say the same thing. Why didn't I call sooner? If you owe too much money on your credit cards and you feel that you'll never be able to pay it off, don't wait. Simply pick up the phone and find out what our program can do for you. Reducing your payments by up to 50% is just the beginning, but you have to take the first step.
Call Consolidated Credit now, 1-800-290-0412.
As soon as you call, The hard part is over.
You're one call away from financial freedom. Call Consolidated Credit now. 1-800-290-0412. 1-800-290-0412. That's 1-800-290-0412. 5701 Sunrise Boulevard, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Licensed debt management service provider, Vermont and New York banking departments, Maryland 149, Oregon DM 80031.
LIUNA, the Laborers International Union of North America, is the most progressive and aggressive union of construction workers and one of the most diverse and effective unions representing public service employees today.
Laborers International members are on the forefront of the industry.
We're 500,000 proud and strong men and women united through collective bargaining agreements.
We earn family-supporting pay, good benefits, and the opportunity for advancement and better lives. Do you?
To learn more about the Laborers International Union of North America, go to liuna.org.
Wow, that's a lot of books. Little one at home? Yeah. Let's see. Childproofing your home, childproofing your yard, childproofing your in-laws' home and yard.
Of all the things you can read to keep your child safe, the most important is attached to their car seat. Read the instruction manual and use the latch system. It makes it easier to be sure your child's car seat is installed correctly. Learn more at safercar.gov. Anchor, tether, latch, the next generation of child safety. A message from the U.S. Department of Transportation and the Ad Council.
Connect on Facebook.
Jeff Santos Show.
Another turning point, a fork stuck in
Little
the
Green Day
road.
for you here on the Jeff Santos Show. 23 minutes past the hour. Kind of a unique segment here on the program. We don't do this every day, but it has been a great learning experience for me. I hope it is for you. We're talking with Father Rick Walsh, the Paulus Center here in Boston, right just a couple of blocks from where we broadcast. And we're talking about a whole slew of issues. And I want to get into something, but you mentioned something during the break that I think is important, that both Pope Benedict and Pope John Paul also cleared the way for this Cuban-American
they really did.
connection.
Yeah, a lot of times the Vatican is, they're one of the ancient diplomats.
Yes.
They know how to do this stuff. They've been around a long time. And so we've been seeing this apparently going on a lot behind the scenes, where Benedict, as well as John Paul, way back to John Paul II, did things that enabled this current pope to be able to take that place and to stand in and to help negotiate something. So I think that's important to say, that there's that long history.
Right. Well, I think one of the things that is really interesting, and this is the case most recently with the Ferguson and the Staten Island protests.
Yeah.
We saw it right across the street from the Paulus Center in
Just
the common.
today. It was happening in a smaller group, but yeah.
A smaller group. And I mean, I marched peacefully. I didn't shout, with about 7,000 people, mainly on the sidewalk and the police next there. I wonder if it is important for Christians, for that matter, every religious group, Muslims, Jews, to sort of get more engaged and to talk to people. There's so much politics in religion and vice versa. But this, to me, is something important. We had a couple of calls, Tanya, who wanted to talk about social justice, and Mick, who called earlier and talking about serving the citizenry and their parishioners as well. Give me your take. Where do you go too far? How can you get involved? Would you like to see other priests and other religious leaders get more engaged with leaders, whether they're labor leaders or protests in this case?
That's a great question. I would say, the history of that is where the church stood was there wasn't a lot of that for hundreds and hundreds of years. There was a movement under a pope named Leo XIII who started to recognize the dignity of the worker and the labor unions and such. And so the church started to become much more supportive of that. It went back and forth with different popes and like the world generally. I would say to this day, to this time, the idea of activism, the idea of standing up and speaking out is still very important in the church. Now, how that takes place, that's another issue. Like, for instance, on the political, you mentioned the word political, Pope John Paul II made it pretty clear there's to be no priests, people who are under what we call holy orders, to be running for any kind of political office.
Father Dryden was an
exactly.
example,
He was
right.
one who stepped down in obedience to the Pope's statement. So we find that on the overt way of being involved in politics to not be happening. But of course, I'm right at the State House, huh? I live there. These are my people. They come to church, and I go up to the State House, and I talk with them. Now, I'm not an official representative on the part of the Archdiocese. I presume they would have their own legislative agents, as we call them, or lobbyists. Right. But as far as I go, making contacts and being there with the people that, in effect, write this legislation, I would hope has a little bit of impact when we have these serious discussions about what is the church's stance on this issue, that issue. So
I might have been to the basement of your to an SEIU event. I had no idea it was actually taking place at the Paula Center. I read the press release, went down there. So there has been an involvement, on feeding the homeless, on helping people who need assistance, psychological, mental. I mean, all these things, and I think that to me is really what church, and what the spiritual part of church is, regardless of what religion you are.
Absolutely, works of charity, if you will, but also the what we used to call the corporal works of mercy, the bodily works, getting involved, blood, sweat, and tears of helping your neighbor. Yeah.
And it's just sometimes, when you just have a few seconds left here, when something you see wrong, like shooting in person that's unarmed, you have to stand up.
Oh, absolutely. Injustices, we stand up, sure. Yeah, and we speak out from the pulpit sometimes. You'll hear us speak out on the streets, and you'll see clergy in these protests, sure.
I think that's important. I see a lot of young people, and I think that's a good thing, them getting engaged and so forth. It's very important.
Very much.
Father Walsh, wish we had more time.
Yeah, another time.
Fantastic having you here.
All right, Jeff.
Father Rick Walsh here on the Jeff Santos Show. We'll be back with your calls to the top of the hour. It's the Jeff Santos Show. Merry Christmas to all of you out there. Right back.
Math is everywhere. And parents, we can make it fun for our kids.
The National Education Association wants you to raise your hand for student success.
I'm NEA President Lily Eskelson Garcia. Math doesn't have to be a chore. Talk about the latest game and how many total points were scored, the differences in speed limits on the way to school, or how much it would cost to buy lunch for the whole week. Learning doesn't just happen in the classroom.
Visit NEA.org/parents for more tips.
With over 900,000 products in 31 product categories, some people would say Grainger has everything but the kitchen sink. Of course, those people would be wrong, because sinks are among the over 900,000 products Grainger offers to help keep your business up and running, along with belt sanders, baseboard heaters, duct tape, tissue paper, reversible air drills, and, well, you get the idea. Most everything. For super fast access to Grainger's over 900,000 products, call, click Grainger.com, or stop by a branch today. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Confessions of a Potentially Perfect Parent, brought to you by AdoptUsKids.org.
I know more about cooking dinner for a party of 12 than about packing a lunch for a 12-year-old. I know kids like things like fish sticks. Fillets, I get, but sticks? Maybe we can just compromise on mac and cheese. Can you make that with Brie?
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who would love to put up with you. Call 1-888-200-4005 or visit AdoptUsKids.org for more information. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt Us Kids, and the Ad Council.
When you open a book, you can explore new worlds, meet new friends, and discover new adventures, like the ones in the Chronicles of Narnia.
Impossible! Are you prepared for what awaits you?
To find out more about the wonders of reading, you can visit the Library of Congress website at www.loc.gov and let your journey begin. This message has been brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
I'm here to tell you that your options for getting out of debt have never been better. How do I know? Because I'm Howard Dvorkin, the founder of Consolidated Credit. For nearly 2 decades, we've helped over 5 million people just like you. And every time we help someone, they all say the same thing. Why didn't I call sooner? If you owe too much money on your credit cards and you feel that you'll never be able to pay it off, Don't wait. Simply pick up the phone and find out what our program can do for you. Reducing your payments by up to 50% is just the beginning, but you have to take the first step.
Call Consolidated Credit now. 1-800-290-0412.
As soon as you call, the hard part is over.
You're one call away from financial freedom. Call Consolidated Credit now. 1-800-290-0412. 1-800-290-0412. That's 1-800-290-0412.
5701 Sunrise Boulevard, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Licensed debt management service provider, Vermont and New York banking departments, Maryland 149, Oregon DM 80031. LIUNA, the Laborers International Union of North America, is the most progressive and aggressive union of construction workers and one of the most diverse and effective unions representing public service employees today.
Laborers International members are on the forefront of the industry.
We're 500,000 proud and strong men and women united through collective bargaining agreements.
We earn family-supporting pay, good benefits, and the opportunity for advancement and better lives. Do you?
To learn more about the Laborers International Union of North America, go to liuna.org.
I'm sorry, sir, but it appears as though your credit card has been declined.
Did everyone hear that? This person right here, credit card declined. If we can please have an awkward silence.
Whoa, I'm with a date here. Look, so I'm late on a few payments. I'll make it up next month. Promise.
He promises to pay it all back next month. Can we have an aww?
Putting more on your card than you can afford to spend can lead to even bigger problems, like public humiliation. Don't let your credit put you in a bad place. Go to controlyourcredit.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Treasury and the Ad Council.
I'm home, and I love it. I'm home where I belong. I'm home, and I love it. I'm home where I belong.
It's always nice to come home. But these days, many Americans are at risk of foreclosure and losing their homes. Fortunately, help is available. Making Home Affordable is a free program from the U.S. government that has already helped over 1 million struggling homeowners, and we want to help you.
I'm home, and I love it. I'm home.
Find out now what your options are. Go to makinghomeaffordable.gov or call 1-888-995-HOPE. The sooner you act, the better chance we can help you.
I'm home, where I belong.
Brought to you by the U.S. Treasury, HUD, and the Ad Council.
Connect on Twitter.
At Jeff Santos Show.
That's great. It starts with an earthquake, birds and snakes, an airplane. And Lenny Bruce is not afraid. I have a hurricane. Listen to
Shout out to our good friend, Mr. Stephen Colbert, on his way to replacing David Letterman at CBS last night, a show. Michael Stipe, one of the many people in the background last night, REM's lead singer, of course. Well, we have decided to keep Father Walsh. We had so much to do, and he's gracious enough to stay one more segment. We'll take your calls in the final 9 at 5:49 Eastern Time. And I want to take a call from Ken. I just think that it is so important what the Paulus Center aims to do, and that's national around the country. I mean, how many churches in America?
Actually, Jeff, we're really small. We have about only 12 churches.
Is that right?
Yeah, in the United States. And we are United States based. However, we have a church in Canada. We've been in Canada for a number of years now, since 1912. And we also have a church in Rome, and that's for the American Embassy community mostly, but folks, Americans living there.
Are you in Chicago?
We are in Chicago. We've been there for many years. Old St. Mary's.
All right.
I think they're currently in the 6th building of Old St. Mary's.
Old St. Mary's. All right. For all of our listeners at WCPT, our great affiliate in Chicago, there you go. Old St. Mary's. What part of town, you know?
It's on the, what do they call that now? It used to be in the Loop, but they moved south further into that newer area that's kind of off of Lakeshore Drive.
Okay, there you go.
Going down towards
Nice
the
area.
Stadium there.
Soldier Field.
Soldier Field, that's the stadium.
There you go.
I used to watch a lot of football. I
go.
kind of lost it.
Hey, let's take a call. Ken in Illinois, you're next with Father Rick Walsh at the Paulus Center here in Boston. How you doing, Ken?
I'm fine. How are you today? Father, I was going to ask you, I was in seminary back in the 60s and Ascension. I went through puberty and decided that the priesthood wasn't for me, and ended up going to Boston University. And the Paulists had a service there at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, we were campus ministers there for a number of years, Ken. Yeah.
Yeah. And I had a bad mass one time. I mean, they did like a mass in the ground. This, we're talking about the 70s. Things were sort of strange in the church then. So, when I was in the seminary, the first year I was in there was 64, and we were learning Gregorian chant. And, next year we were playing Bob Dylan songs.
There you go. That's a change.
Yeah, I was a kid. I do remember. I was just a kid, though. I was born 61.
Yeah. You and Barack Obama.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I went back to the dorm after this particular service. I won't go into details of that, but I decided I was going to switch churches. And as you walked into the dormitory, prominently displayed where every parent who walked in could see was a church directory. And I decided I was going to start at the top of the list and work my way down. Well, the one on top was Antioch and Orthodox, St. George's. And so I started going there. I went there for a couple of years. And they had they still had all the chants. And I'm,
So, yeah, if you can come to the point.
Okay. I called the priest that is actually running that church now about 6 months ago, because at the time I went there, it was about 1/3 gringos, And I asked him if the ratio was still the same, and he said, "Oh no, they're like 99% Middle Easterners, because of all the Christians that are bailing out of the Middle East. Do you know of any way of helping them?" And that was in the Chicago area now.
How can we help the Christians in the Middle East? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, help the Christians in the Middle East, or help the ones that are coming over here, get established.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, I know Catholic Relief Services.
He's in Chicago, by the way.
Right. Okay, Ken. Catholic Relief Services has been working in the Middle East for a number of years now, especially since the more recent troubles, if you will, and very much aware, like as you probably know, a lot of Iraqis, the ancient order of what they call the Chaldean Rite.
Right.
Those folks are gone. I mean, it's we hear stories that they're down to just a few thousand. Yeah. So we're talking people that have moved. A lot of those poor people moved to Syria, and now look at them on the run again into Jordan and refugee camps. So horrible, tragic stories we're hearing. And I know for the Catholic Church on that aspect of things, Ken, Catholic Relief Services has been doing what they can, and they have a good ratio of the money goes right to the ground. It's not like an administrative costs and stuff like that. So I know that's one. The bishops in their own diocese, when people come in and they become aware through parishes like us, if we're not a parish technically, but if we know of anybody coming into our place who needs help, we contact the Archdiocese and we see what we can do and what's out there. There's lay organizations, Ken, that particularly based in the Middle East. There's like the Knights of Malta, that kind of charity organizations that try to support people and help them to find their home here and find employment and what have you. So they do what they can, but it's a pretty overwhelming situation.
You think I should try to get in touch with the Archdiocese in Chicago? We got a new bishop.
You do. You have a great new bishop there. Yeah. So I would say absolutely contact your archdiocese if you're aware. If you are actually aware of people where they're at. First, you can even go to your own parish priest there, or if you don't belong there anymore to the Catholic faith, call them anyhow and say, "What can we do?"
Oh no! I came back home. I married.
Oh, okay.
Came.
Yeah. So Ken, that's what I would do.
I was never reconfirmed, so I never truly joined the
I gotcha.
Orthodox Church.
Sure. Ken, I would say start local. It's
Yeah.
always good to start local and then move from there and see how that goes, okay?
Okay, well, thank you very much, Father. I appreciate the advice.
Sure thing.
Ken,
Thanks for
thank you
calling.
so much for calling, my friend.
Okay, bye.
Bye. We're talking with Father Rick Walsh here on the Jeff Santos Show. A couple of minutes left. If you want to get in, 877-489-9421 on this Christmas season. Wanted to get in a little of the idea of what it means to be a Catholic, what it means to be a Catholic today in the Christmas season before we leave. I think we do it on this show. We get young people engaged and involved. There has been this idea. We obviously all know what happened with the altar boys in the Catholic Church and so forth. How is it now? And is there, I don't know if Pope Francis sort of has an idea and some thoughts on this, how to get young people. I mean, there are some that never left, but there are a lot of people who may not necessarily believe in any faith.
Right. Jeff, that's a complicated issue because there are we've been reading, in fact, as a staff, we've been reading materials that our director, Mike McGarry, gave us to look at how complicated that issue is of what's going on with young adults and why are the numbers so down still.
Yeah.
And it's so complicated. There's all kinds of sociological theories out there and what's going on. Honestly, I personally hold that there's just right now they're busy in their lives, very busy with the new thing that we have in front of us looking down the iPad,
one of these
whatever it is.
things.
Yeah. And I
Good
think
old smartphone.
I do, and I think there's so many things going on in their life that church just isn't there for them. It's for them at their time in their life, and I think that that's a big part of it. There's so many other options on there. They're working harder than ever before. I know young professionals that start work at 6 in the morning and don't finish until 8 at night.
Yeah, and they get low paid.
And then Saturday, they're working Saturday, so they're tired.
Let me ask you, because this is another thing you see. Unlike other Catholic churches and in the diocese, they don't have like a basketball court and a school attached to it.
Right.
But there are a lot of young people. Saw them last Saturday actually when we talked about this. That are coming to get married, and maybe like when people buy homes and they turn in the mid-30s, whatever. All of a sudden, there changes. Is that what you're seeing?
Well, I don't see it that's much on that, Jeff. I see the first baby.
Okay.
Yeah, all of a sudden they have this responsibility for a little one. And especially when the baby reaches the age where they talk and ask the questions like, where am I from? Who is this God?
Yeah.
And then we see them, because every parent needs help with that, to talk about the faith.
People want to get a hold of you, email or
You
website?
can email me at a very clever email address, IamFatherRick@gmail.
There you go. You guys are catching up to the 21st century, I tell you.
Trying.
Father Rick Walsh of the Paulus Center here in Boston. Thank you for doing it. We got to do this again soon.
Yeah, that'd be nice, Jeff. I'd like to.
And it's been real fantastic. We'll come back, take your calls on all the subjects, including this one. Coming up, Final 9. It's the Jeff Santos Show. Back in a flash.
Math is everywhere, and parents, we can make it fun for our kids.
The National Education Association wants you to raise your hand for student success.
I'm NEA President Lily Eskelson Garcia. Math doesn't have to be a chore. Talk about the latest game and how many total points were scored, the differences in speed limits on the way to school, or how much it would cost to buy lunch for the whole week. Learning doesn't just happen in the classroom.
Visit NEA.org/parents for more tips.
With over 900,000 products in 31 product categories, some people would say Grainger has everything but the kitchen sink. Of course, those people would be wrong, because sinks are among the over 900,000 products Grainger offers to help keep your business up and running, along with belt sanders, baseboard heaters, duct tape, tissue paper, reversible air drills, and, well, you get the idea. Most everything. For super fast access to Grainger's over 900,000 products, call, click Grainger.com, or stop by a branch today. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Confessions of a Potentially Perfect Parent, brought to you by AdoptUsKids.org.
I know more about cooking dinner for a party of 12 than about packing a lunch for a 12-year-old. I know kids like things like fish sticks. Fillets, I get, but sticks? Maybe we can just compromise on mac and cheese. Can you make that with Brie?
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who would love to put up with you. Call 1-888-200-4005 or visit adoptuskids.org for more information. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt Us Kids, and the Ad Council.
When you open a book, you can explore new worlds, meet new friends, and discover new adventures, like the ones in the Chronicles of Narnia.
Impossible!
Are you prepared for what awaits you? To find out more about the wonders of reading, you can visit the Library of Congress website at www.loc.gov and let your journey begin. This message has been brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
I'm here to tell you that your options for getting out of debt have never been better. How do I know? Because I'm Howard Dvorkin, the founder of Consolidated Credit. For nearly 2 decades, we've helped over 5 million people just like you. And every time we help someone, they all say the same thing. Why didn't I call sooner? If you owe too much money on your credit cards and you feel that you'll never be able to pay it off, don't wait. Simply pick up the phone and find out what our program can do for you. Reducing your payments by up to 50% is just the beginning, but you have to take the first step.
Call Consolidated Credit now. 1-800-290-0412.
As soon as you call, the hard part is over.
You're one call away from financial freedom. Call Consolidated Credit now. 1-800-290-0412. 1-800-290-0412. That's 1-800-290-0412. 5701 Sunrise Boulevard, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Licensed debt management service provider, Vermont and New York banking departments, Maryland 149, Oregon DM80031.
LIUNA, the Laborers International Union of North America, is the most progressive and aggressive union of construction workers and one of the most diverse and effective unions representing public service employees today.
Laborers International members are on the forefront of the industry.
We're 500,000 proud and strong men and women united through collective bargaining agreements.
We earn family-supporting pay, good benefits, and the opportunity for advancement and better lives. Do you?
To learn more about the Laborers International Union of North America, go to liuna.org.
The entire world watched. They watched each step down the rungs of that small ladder, one after another, and waited with great anticipation for that last step.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
At that moment, humanity saw the impossible become the possible, and today the sky is not the limit. Achievement. Pass it on from the Foundation for a Better Life at values.com.
Find us on Twitter at Jeff Santos Show.
Five minutes past the hour. It is the Jeff Santos Show. Just you and me to the top of the hour. Isn't that awesome? You know, I mean, the thing that I grew up with priests is, you know, is sort of like yes, father, no father, and it's, you know, there isn't that sort of he's like us, just another dude, another guy. You know, wish they had women priests too. But I think that to me is where the churches, not only the Catholic faith, but others should go. That's my view. Some of you who are more traditional may disagree, but I think that if you're progressive, you understand that the churches have to be more open to the citizenry, not the other way around. You know, closed-minded, sort of, you know, if you're pro-choice, you're evil, and, you know, you're okay if you're pro. That stuff's kind of crazy. But, you know, it's really good to have Father Rick on, and we'll look forward to having him on again over the coming months. I think he adds a different perspective. He was telling me during the break about the cost of the New York church and doing some repairs and millions of dollars. And, you know, it's not easy in today's day and age. Of course, you know, churches don't have the taxes that a lot of people pay, so understood that way. 877-489-9421. I don't know if you have any suggestions for Christmas. If you want to get them out, you're open to do so. or if you want to stay on the hard politics of the day. Just to give you guys a heads up, we'll be doing Monday's show live, and I believe our good friend John Bussinger, that's not confirmed yet, will be co-hosting on Tuesday, and then we'll have Best Of on Christmas Eve Day and Christmas Day and the day after. And we're working out the following week. So just for those who are Jeff Santos Show listeners on a daily basis, I know many of you are, that's how we're looking to do it over the next week. And I hope everyone has a chance to sort of, spend time with your family and friends and get out there and enjoy the time that you spend with people. I mean, as they all say, and, the cliche is life short. So enjoy this. It's really important to sort of, hang with friends and family and enjoy them. And, this is something, we always, everybody's out there shopping and get the right gift. And, if you have kids, that's an important piece. But I think as one of the stupid TV commercials, but appropriately said, it's what is around the tree, not what's on the tree. It's the people that are around the tree that are important. They were talking about a bunch of people gathering to put together a public Christmas tree. And I think that there is something to that. And, again, whether you are agnostic, whether you're an atheist, regardless of what religion you are, my hope is that people can just kind of come together. And that is sort of the Christmas spirit, the holiday spirit. We all have watched Scrooge. You don't want to go there. There are a lot of companies out there playing Scrooge right now, laying people off at holiday season or whatever the case may be. And I just hope that, people have a sense of what is important, your health and your ability to sort of live the life as much as you can the way you want to. Do the things you want to do that make you happy. That's not illegal or negative to somebody else. That's, across the hall from you or across the subway car, whatever the case may be. You have to understand we're all living in the same space for the most part. I also want to mention that for a lot of people, this time of the year is a very difficult one. You miss family and friends who may have passed away. And there are those that don't have anybody at the holidays. So if you have a situation where you need to go, the Paulus Center in places like Chicago and Boston and New York are places you can go, be with somebody on Christmas Day and all the different masses they celebrate. But if you are not active in the Catholic Church or any church for that matter, spend time with an old friend. I mean, I just think that these are things that they all have to think. There are a lot of grandfathers and grandmothers that don't get to see their grandkids. It's an opportunity, of course, and a lot of people do that every Christmas or Thanksgiving. But this is an important time for a lot of people to kind of come together. And, if we can be your home during the holiday season, of course, we'll be on tape Christmas Day and day before, day after. But, we obviously are always going to be able, if you want to, particularly if you're computer savvy, if you want to send an email to get it off your chest, whatever the case may be, you're welcome to do so. You can also, of course, post on Facebook and Twitter at Jeff Santos Show. So don't be afraid during this holiday season to not communicate your political views and your views in general on your life. I don't want to, I'm not a psychologist, so I can't pretend to be one. But I just wanted to make it clear that, we want to help where we can. And, again, you can go to thepauluscenter.org and find out more about both Father Rick and others who are really cool people. And I think that's an important piece. For many of you who are going away for the next 2 weeks, I wish you a safe journey if you're going to be traveling, whether across country or around the world. Please be safe out there. We want to make sure that you are back for an exciting season in 2015. And 2015, my God. Sounds like another time if you were born in the 60s or even earlier, like many of our callers and listeners are. But lot to go, a lot to get done. You obviously need a big progressive comeback after the elections in November. So keep fighting, folks. Have yourself a great weekend. I want to thank Sarah Billingsley for producing this broadcast with help from Jimmy and Jay. Our great team in Florida. Of course, Vero Beach, led by Ron and Diane, Shane Sonar and Kevin, too. The team in Boca Raton, Frankie, Freddie and Gio. So I was thinking about Frankie. And, of course, Father Frank. That's why. And our great team of Ted, John, and George in Minneapolis. And, of course, right here, Jack Casey and Dee Simpson, Emerson College. Have yourself a great weekend. Happy holidays. Happy Christmas. My name is Jeff Santos. Time for me to say, I gotta go.